All right, everyone, thank you for joining us today for the South Texas Regional Family Medicine Grand Rounds. Our educational partner today is the South Central Area Health Education Center. Our department's mission statement is inventing a healthier future for families and communities in San Antonio, South Texas, and beyond through excellence in patient-centered care, research, and education. All right, thank you in advance for muting your microphone once the presentation begins, being attentive to the presenters and engaged in the session, keeping cameras on when appropriate, registering for CME credit for each session, and for completing and submitting a session evaluation form. All right, today's date is January 31st, 2024, and today's activity code for CME credit is 1009-3234. Again, that code is 1009-3234. You can claim the CME credit via text by texting your email address to the toll-free number on the screen and then texting attend 1009-3234. You must register for each session by midnight in order to receive CME credit. The new CME system is the CME credit via text system. There are instructions on the screen. Again, please text attend 1009-3234 for today's session to 844-502-1338 to record attendance. All right, you can access your CME transcripts from the Long School of Medicine CME office at the website cme.utesca.edu. This session is also approved by the American Academy of Family Physicians. AAFP members, using your AAFP login, you can claim credit for this activity online. This live activity, the South Texas Regional Family Medicine Grand Rounds, has been reviewed and is acceptable for up to 1 prescribed credit by the AAFP. Physicians should claim only the credit commensurate with the extent of their participation in the activity. All right, the Family and Community Medicine Grand Rounds address the following nationally established physician core competencies: the Institute of Medicine core competencies, the ABMS ACGME competencies, and the AAMC competencies. Today's speaker, Janet F. Williams, MD, has no financial relationships with ineligible companies to disclose. And Dr. Nader will now introduce our speaker.
So thank you. Before I introduce my friend Janet Williams, I just wanted to say that those of you who aspire to be faculty members at the university, or those of you who have had an intake with me as a faculty member, know that I talk about how you get promoted, right? So you're going to learn some of that today. You hear our take on it from our very high-functioning department P&T committee, but I think it's really good to hear from the folks at the university as well. Maybe they got a little some other additional ideas, or maybe they just tell you the same things we told you, but I think it's very worthwhile. If you want to be here for 20 years, you want to be a professor, right? So it's not a big surprise how to do that. So we're going to just cover at least some of that today. Dr. Janet Williams, MD, FAAP, is a tenured professor of pediatrics at the University of Texas Health Science Center, San Antonio, Joe R. and Teresa Lozano Long School of Medicine, where she serves as the LSOM Vice Dean for Faculty, which started in 2011. In addition, she is part of the General Pediatrics Clinical Teaching Faculty, covering infant to adolescent patient care. As Vice Dean, her Office of Faculty partners with the campus and the LSOM leadership and school components to translate faculty support processes into efficient electronic processes and to provide comprehensive programs to guide faculty career progression along the continuum. She was twice awarded the UT Health San Antonio Presidential Award for Teaching Excellence and was twice served as a founding member of teaching academies, most recently as the executive co-founder of the Long School of Medicine Academy of Educational Scholars. She holds the honor of being the UT System, a UT System Distinguished Teaching Professor, and was elected to the UT Kenneth I. Shine, MD, Academy of Health Science Education, where she continues to serve in leadership. She is a member of the UT Health Institution's Physician Burnout Working Group. Her education, research, process improvement, and policy development has been nationally recognized by the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Association of American Medical Colleges. So with that, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks.
Well, I hope I can live up to my introduction here. Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here. I want to talk a little bit about understanding faculty career. It's a little bit light on the superficial level, but I hope to leave some room at the end for questions that arise, because I know it's a very mixed audience. It's trainees and community physicians and faculty. So today's goals are, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about professional identity formation. That is really important. And we don't talk about that enough. Next, I want to talk about my office, our website, what's on the intranet site, which is harder to get to than what's out for everybody to access. It's very specific to our School of Medicine faculty. And we have a lot of tools listed there on career development. The other thing is to really try to use these tools in a way so you're saying, oh, this is where I am, current state, and this is where I want to go, future state. And the whole part about writing goals every year, SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound, is so that you can say, am I progressing toward that future state? Or guess what? It's okay to change your mind, right? Oh, wait, this opportunity came up and I'm going to veer this way. And then lastly, to take these concepts, and then I use a lot of terms like intentional, strategic, mutually beneficial, or community beneficial, to think about the support of what you're doing. You're not asked to thrive as an isolated individual because you're contributing to this great institution or your unit, your division, your department. And so think about how this not only helps you and they help you, but you help them at the same time. So professional identity development has happened all the way since you were born. You got an identity as a grade schooler, high schooler, college graduate. And it's really the integration of what you're seeing and experiencing out there and the values, skills, knowledge, behaviors that you've developed and think are right for the world with what you're going to next and what you're about to experience. So you change your identity from college student to medical student, from medical student to house staff, and from house staff to practitioner or to faculty member. And a lot of people, I think, currently have discovered the term imposter syndrome. Well, shoot, that's been around forever. Who expects you to be perfect the day you graduate from residency and suddenly you're a full-fledged physician, right? You're not. So you're not an imposter. You just have you're earlier in your identity formation and decision about what's the right fit, what works here. And I'm not going to be shy about saying, can you just check me on this and make sure I'm going in the right direction? So identity formation, just in general, there's a person called Keegan that in the early 80s had a number of models, but one in general that was then used and started to be applied to health professions. And then recently, I'd say the last 10 years, but I've got a couple articles cited here that they really are looking a lot at what is best for identity formation in medical school, right? To get the right kind of physicians out there. And so that's kind of the rise of reflective essays or reflective writing. And there's just a very recent article, the 2022 one that's coming up that I quote. I guess that quote on the prior slide was from that. They're saying, oh, well, wait a minute. There seem to be two camps here. One is individualism, and that's a lot of the reflective stuff. How are you feeling? The emphasis is on you. And now what they're saying is maybe that burden of cultural pressures or societal dysfunction, psychosocial stuff is really overburdening people because they're feeling like I have to do it myself. And that's part of this burnout business that's also on the rise, at least as far as people talking about it or bringing it to bear. The other kind of way to approach it is the socialization community approach. And so the one that's just arisen is the combination of the two. And guess what? Maybe that's the best, right? But they're saying, okay, here's your existing things, here's the socialization, your experiences, your comparisons, and then you evolve into a different personal and added on bonus professional identity. And a lot of that is through increasing participation in these roles. This one is really to look at socialization as the center point and what can happen with socialization. And they specifically talk about trainees in this one and the next one. It's the same concept, but they're just saying, oh, look, there's a role of the learning environment, and there's a role of mentors and people that you're shadowing in your clinical skills or experiences or non-clinical experiences, and then formal teaching, and then all these self-assessments. And is this a good thing? And you can react in different ways. So this one sort of says, well, you know, you can have some negative reactions to that, and you can have some positive reactions to that. What you're working toward is increased competence and increased personal and professional satisfaction. But there, a lot of times people get absorbed in doubt, and they need to get past that and not use that as a crutch, but use it as a little early warning to say, okay, I need a little more experience or a little more mentoring or a little more boost in my skills or how I should react in this situation and get toward that competence rating. So this is partly observation of mine and partly known fact, but I've been saying for a couple of years to chairs in their hiring practices, the future is here. You have to look at a moving target. Medicine, and certainly academic medicine, is a moving target. When I went into academic medicine, I had this concept of what I wanted to be as a professor, right? That didn't exist even partly along the line of getting there. And you have, so I think maybe in academic medicine, you have to be okay outside your comfort zone, knowing that there's maybe more likelihood to change than in, let's say, a practice opportunity. On the other hand, a lot of practices are changing in their definition. They're being bought by big business, and they're being run in a different model. And so I think no matter what you go into industry, you really need to be flexible about, is this a good fit? Is it still a good fit? And use your words, as I say, as a pediatrician, developmentally, and really explore things and find out if this is where you want to be, and you can write those goals and intermingle with the other people's goals and be successful together. So your professional identity formation is not static. It's always changing. It's always getting more complex and intricate, and more you're more satisfied with who you've become in this identity. And the context is dynamic. Even if you're still in academic medicine or you're still in practice, it's changing. So that's what I mean by that. And William Gibson is a speculative fiction writer. It's a sort of like science fiction, but not quite. So it's speculative fiction. And he said it's just not evenly distributed, meaning there's pockets of these people are doing things very differently over here, and these are doing differently over here. And some of that's going to be more prevalent in the future, and some of it isn't. But I say you got to keep your ears open, eyes open, because things will continue to change. That's the constant change. So professional identity formation, it merges those pre-existing identity elements with what you perceive or think you're going toward. But I think it's healthy to always say, but am I? Is my perception correct of what a professor does? Or has that changed when I blink my eyes? Technology is definitely the predominant influence on generational attributes and socialization. So, when people are talking about Gen X, Gen Y, whatever's polars, the greatest generation, it's technology that really is the driving force one way or another. And I'm not only talking about Twitter or Facebook or whatever is or isn't there anymore. Technology and economics, the economics of medical practice, they're driven by big business no matter what, and third-party payers. They're the predominant influences that are redefining our profession. They're redefining how we educate, and in what areas we do research and serve. And really, it's evolving what is a faculty member. But I'm not trying to be unfair, because our whole society is changing, and it's redefining what is it to practice as well. Okay, there are certain things that we know are needed for career success: a strong community and culture of inclusion. So generally, we hire you because we like you. We think you're going to fit here. And guess what? You want to be hired because you like us and you think you're going to fit here. So it's not adversarial. It's a really nice advocacy relationship, or it should be. Whatever you join out there, it should be a strong support community. They're not going to be perfect no matter where you go, but they are a community that want you to succeed. They put a lot of effort into recruitment and interviewing and trying to get a good fit. Doesn't always work out. Or guess what? We're all human. You can change your mind. Something that appeals to you better can come up. That's okay. That's human. And it's not oh, darn, I wasted time. You didn't waste time. It's not like you did underwater basket weaving for a year, something irrelevant. You'll take that experience and grow from it. I myself was in practice for several years, and then I went back into academics, but boy, that was very valuable to be in practice and to be the person that was really in charge and really had to fly, not quite on my own. I mean, I did have practice partners, but I realized I really liked the teaching aspect, and how could I get that? So identity, belonging, relevance, connectedness, respectfulness, communicating, clarity, those types of words that you really need to say, can I relate to these people? And that's what I'm telling people, even when they're interviewing for residency or colleges or whatever. What is your gut telling you? Do I feel like I could fit in here, or is this just somebody else wants me to do this, or it's more prestigious to go there, but I don't like it as much. I really feel like I can relate to these people and this patient population, or whatever my opportunities. Transparency, very intentional, contextual, strategic goals. An effective promotion and tenure system. If you're going into academics, on what basis do I get promoted? Same thing with compensation. On what basis do I get compensated? Is there some type of incentive or extra compensation? Oh, that doesn't appeal to me, or this appeals to me. so that whole idea of respect, balance, integration of your desires with this institution or this group, and they have the same desires. I was thinking, I put this quote in here from Benjamin Franklin, and I thought, well, this shows how dynamic our society is, because extremely is not spelled the way he spelled it, and neither is oneself. So, you know, it just shows you the English language is dynamic, and so is our society and socialization. So what do you need? You need that good fit. It's really important to read and absorb and ask questions about your offer letter to understand your role. A lot of things are kind of loose, and that's okay, because it's real hard to write every little, you know, minute down in the week that you're going to spend. But to understand, am I predominantly here for this? Do I get opportunities for these other things? If I don't want that opportunity, can I say no? I mean, what's really this institution all about? We're governed by the Board of Regents rules and our HAP, as it's called, the Handbook of Operating Policies and Procedures, which is pretty much directly taken from the Board of Regents rules. The Board of Regents rules for the UT system have to apply to all campuses, and the health campuses like ours are kind of come lately institutions, which I think sort of has advantage. They sort of pretend like health institutions don't exist. That could be frustrating, but I like the idea of having the freedom to mold it to what really serves us best. But really hilariously, I think they pretty much for students tell you how many breaths they should take a day and how close the wastebasket should be to your chair. But for faculty, it's like faculty don't even exist. There's barely any rules about faculty at all, which I really love, because then we can say what serves our faculty body best. And the way we've done that with we call it PTAC, Promotion, Tenure, and Appointments Committee, but it refers to everything promotion and tenure. PTAC guidelines that come straight from the Board of Regents rules and HOB, the tenure guidelines, the other things, I'll think of them. We get a group together. Oh, there's some, what are the general attributes, the successful attributes of making tenure if you're in a basic science department or if you're in a clinical science department? The way we update those and make them relevant is, because real general, we annotate what the Board of Regents says, because it'll say you need to teach students so many quarters in a classroom, and people go, what? I don't teach students, and I also don't teach in a classroom. So how am I going to get promotion or tenure? And we go, well, student means, you know, secret code for any level learner. Just tell us. It could be a peer, right? Just tell us how many, how often, what are you teaching? Classroom is secret code for any venue. Just tell us, what are you doing? The clinic, you're in the clinic, you're one-on-one, you're doing this, you're doing that, you know? So, yeah, but I like it with that freedom. And so after we had a representative committee make these rules, then we sent them out to every faculty member that they applied to. Like only the faculty members with tenure could comment on the tenure things and say, have at it. You can't take anything away because that was somebody else's opinion, but you can add, you know, what have we forgotten? And so that way everybody had some at least opportunity to say so when we update things. Okay, and then our compensation plan, and that gets updated separately for the basic science faculty and the clinical faculty. Now, one thing when you're making comparisons, I put these, I just like the tarot card spread. I don't really know anything about tarot cards, but I just thought it, you know, had to do with destiny. But the things underneath the perks or perquisites, a lot of people overlook what do you get from University of Texas system versus they'll go, wow, that site or practice or whatever is paying me more. But are they paying your malpractice? Are they paying your vacation? You have paid vacation time or leave time. Do they have a separate program where they share in it's a part of the cost sharing mechanism for paying for your health insurance. And so that's discounted. And because it's a group rate with Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's discounted compared to if you were purchasing it yourself. And there are various things like that, vision, dental. They have lots of, besides helping you with your retirement savings, they have other types of things they will sponsor in safe entities. They're known annuities or something to say, you have a choice. If you want to do this, you go talk to these people, but we've recognized these as safe, or you can use the Texas teachers retirement system. So those count. Those all count when you're adding up dollars and where your money's going and making a budget. So write that down, even if you're just comparing private practice to private practice. It's important to say what's included or what comes out of my paycheck. They may pay you more, but in the long run, you're paying a lot more because they're not covering any of these items. So my office went from me to we now have embedded in my office a service center that supports all the departments, centers, and institutes for the School of Medicine in the faculty processes. That means such as appointment processes to make sure that's the part about I translate everything. I do lean process analysis and translate it into a really lean electronic system as much as possible. And it really came to pass, even with the PTAC, the Promotion Tenure Appointments Committee work, we had everything. When COVID hit, everything was electronic except the signatures. We just added Adobe Sign and that was it. And they could meet on Teams and still keep their work going. So everything that isn't necessarily need to be face-to-face or running around in paper, right? I try to figure out what are efficiencies and what can we do electronically, because we want the start of that person retention starts the first day of recruitment. We want that person to have a really good experience onboarding, whatever that means. It's a whole bunch of, introductory processes and off to a good start. So career development, we want that to be a very pleasant, supportive experience and not them saying, what did I do to myself here? So these are a couple slides they made up when they were rebranding our institution, but I thought they were really nice because it covers a lot of things that we do now. I now have 20 people in my office. Most are in the service center, but I have one person focusing on accreditation and compliance and continual quality improvement of, we got to make sure the faculty portions of the LCME we pass, or the ACGME we pass, or the SAC-COC, which is a Southern Area Council of accrediting schools, higher education schools. So things like that. Okay. I actually think that one's career, you should think of that as a giant's PDSA cycle, CQI cycle. And I just like this acronym, but I wish it said study. Plan, do, study, act, right? Or check, act. And you should think about, this is my planning, these are my goals. And you come back the next year and you talk about them developmentally, meaning what went right, what went not so right, what was a surprise. And, I wrote 2 papers. I had no idea I could do that. Well, what facilitated that? And you go, let's do more of that. Or I didn't get anything done in this area. Why? Well, the person moved away. They took the equipment with them. I'm like, right. Bad goal. So you cross it out and you just write a new goal, right? It's not slap you on the hand or something punitive. So, but that way, if you're thinking of, you plan it, you do it, you say what was great, what was not so great, and then you go back at it again. It's a good way to think of your career and where you want to go. And like I said, I'm all about being kind to yourself too. You know, nobody's perfect, and it's okay to change your mind, you know. Okay. So one of the things that a faculty member has to decide, it's more like it gets revealed to you than you say, poof, I'm going to do this. Although part of that is why you applied for the job. What was the job opening? Because you wanted to do that and they want you to do it. So if they're saying you're in the clinic 4 to 5 days a week and you're teaching during that, well, your scholarship strength, if you're non-tenure track, you need to develop a scholarship strength, which is more than just presence of. I was present in the clinic. I was present in the classroom. You need to do something, which I'll go into a little bit later, in either it's going to be service, your clinical care, or your teaching, right? But it'll reveal itself where you feel like, oh, I can contribute more, or I'm interested in helping with the clerkship, or I'm interested in not doing that. I'm interested in this, making sure we have patient safety, quality improvement. Oh, I want to help the house staff with those studies. They have to be involved in one every year, and let's get a poster. They can present it, and that goes on your CV too. But that shows your mentoring, and you know, so you just try to use things not in a bad way, 2 or 3 ways, but to fulfill the goals of why you're a faculty member. So those are the 3 areas. Those are your choices. They're pretty broad. And when you're on tenure track, so on non-tenure track, activity in one, clear documentable value in one area, and activity in another. Okay, so in tenure track, you need clear scholarship strength emerging and building in 2 areas and activity in the 3rd. It is almost impossible not to have activity in another area. I mean, it just isn't possible to be that isolated. Okay, so my little circle here, knowing yourself, getting to know yourself better each time as it goes around, exploring your options, making decisions, and moving on sort of sounds like maybe you're leaving, but to me, it's moving forward. You're moving forward as to, oh, okay, we made these decisions, we're gonna act on it. So you really need to use intentional alignment of your own career expectations and progress with your institutional context, your division, your department, your school, your area of the country, your profession. You really need to say, how is this aligned or not? And the institution has expectations of you. So the culture around is providing more of the context. And I like to just say 1 to 2 year goals and 2 to 5 year goals. It's not bad to write fantasy goals like 10-year goals, but they're going to get closer as you go through the years, right? So those keep your perspective down the line. At 5 years is the last time you can change tracks. So that needs to be on the calendar every year. Should I change tracks? Am I on the right track? One way or another. So this is my tarot card spread. When you're writing your goals, you have your offer letter and or last year's goals right there, because that's part of the context. You've got your promotion and tenure guidelines, because you say, well, all the stuff I'm doing, I want to get promoted, right? Am I meeting any of these? And they're specific to track and rank, and rank being associate professor or professor. That's generally it's pretty clear what you're doing to get assistant professor, and then after that you go to the committee. So if somebody comes in as an instructor, that's an internal decision that, yeah, they're deserving of assistant professor. So if you're on tenure track, it's a little bit heavier because I said you're developing 2 areas of definite scholarship strength and activity in the third. Another thing is the context is, like I said, your community, your division and department goals. Are you aligned with those? Because you would like to help each other. I had this one little graphic I couldn't fit in, but it's a little dot and it said, you want to make a difference, join a team. And the team is like all these big group of dots, right? So you can do it on your own, but why? It's so much better, you get greater ideas, use the wealth of the group, the strength and the energy of the group, and people really help each other. So don't do it yourself. Have those goals and say, am I working against my department or with my department? The next thing is your compensation plan, because you should be asking yourself, I'm doing all this work. Am I getting paid for it? And so you have these things in front of you, and as you're writing this goal, and you go, yeah, that is actually aligned with me moving up, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Next is 2 tools. One is the CV template. The CV template, you're always asking yourself, oh, wait a minute, how am I going to document this? Where am I going to document this? Where you document it does not mean that's your scholarship strength, because like your presentations and publications go under research. That doesn't mean research is your scholarship strength. It means, what were those presentations and publications about? A new way to teach, a case report or series on a clinical deal, you discovered a new approach to something. That's where the scholarship strength lies. And later I will show you a way to tease that out so it reveals itself. The venues documents I'm going to talk about in a little bit. It's something I created and I think it's really helpful, but I know they're underused. So I'm going to get family community medicine to use it more often, I hope. Okay, so this is kind of fun. If you write down a goal, it's really interesting. You have a lot more chance of actually achieving it. And if you tell somebody about it, so you have on the next slide, 20 to 50% more chance of doing it if it's written down. It's really fun to do. And write your fantasy goals. I mean, write your personal goals on there and then lose it for 5 or 10 years and you go, oh my gosh, look, I did these things. So, but if you don't lose it, you can actually work a little more aggressively toward those goals. But goals that are only held mentally, I love this, are more likely to be jumbled up among the 1,500 thoughts per minute that you have, right? So they just get lost. And only 3% of adults write down their goals. And if you write them in the SMART acronym, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound, then they're measurable. There's a metric. You've already said, I can do this. They're so specific, you know if you did it or not, or what you should do. Then they're really achievable. So, I love Lewis Carroll. Any road will get you there if you don't know where you're going, right? So if you've got some specific goals, you're much more likely to get there. But I think, look, it forces clarity. It's some discipline to sit down and say, yeah, what is it I think I can achieve? Just, a little conversation with yourself and a conversation with who is going to evaluate you, your evaluator. You can have all kinds of other mentors, but they're not contextual or aligned. You're the one that's getting it contextual and aligned. And whoever's evaluating you had better know what your goals are to begin with, so they can help you finesse those from the beginning and be successful. It really is a motivator, a personal motivator to say, right, I thought I could do that. I should do that. Helps overcome your own resistance. It becomes a filter for other opportunities. What I mean is you have a chance to say, oh, I don't need to do that right now. because my goal is here. That might be an opportunity later, but it's a reason to, as I say yes less. And if you've discussed these with your evaluator, your chair, your division chief, they'll help protect you because they know this is what you need to do. Or they say, this is really urgent. We need somebody to do it. Would you consider doing it? You negotiate it, right? In a friendly manner. They don't want you to fail. And they don't want whatever the other thing is to fail either. So anyway, it's really nice because you can also see your progress and celebrate it. So now,
Just
yeah.
a thought before you leave that. I think when you have it written down also, you can on a regular basis ask yourself, what can I do today?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's a really great reminder because you don't have to be older to forget things, right? I mean, that we're pretty busy. We're not supposed to be multitasking, but can you help it? No. So you're at least got, maybe you're not doing everything at the same time, but you've got it on your mind or on your calendar. So if you've got those goals so you can glance up at them, you're like, right. So good point. So a working knowledge of resources. This is going to be my website. I want to get you there. Okay. So, this is the landing page right now. It's got some quinoa salad or something on it. And you either go up here to search quick links, and then what pops up is this left-hand border for you, or right-hand border. I don't know. The dark border. That's what pops up on your quick links. And you would go to under logins, My UT Health. Okay. So you would go there and you're going to find exactly the same thing. But when you finally find these things, just mark them as a favorite, and then you can cut out all this garbage, or at least most of it. Or you could go to academics, because what you want to do from the whole institution is get to the School of Medicine, because I'm only School of Medicine. So then when under academics, you've got the Joe R. and Teresa Lozana Long School of Medicine, you go there. And it's a lot of clicking. And then when you get there, you go to About Us, because we're of course hidden. And so then you look at the organizational units on the right there for Office for Faculty. That's me. Yay, Office for Faculty. I support faculty, or something else you want to see. And then you get to the external facing page. The external facing page has a few things. It's got a little short welcome. It's got our mission, vision, culture. It's just short, upbeat, to try to say we're happy here. And then faculty resources. And it's a few faculty resources, like there's an explanation of the CV, or how to get to the wellness links, which there's down on the right-hand side, it says link to the internal page, or it's also up at the top in the brown, that kind of orange and brown top border. It says internal site login. So you use your same login. And this was faculty resources, what's there. So there's the chapter 3 of the HOP, which is faculty things, and the whole HOP if you happen to want to read it, but I don't know anybody that does. Yeah. Or why. You should ask yourself why. Yeah, if you want to. The faculty guide, it's a little resource guide from me, and that's the part that has a little one pager on the CV. And then well-being, the well-being resources. And we have a well-being app for faculty. Of course, anybody can use it, but it was built for faculty and address that issue. Okay, this is what the little CV intro looks like. Because we went from an electronic CV that was dysfunctional with a capital D, and it also was broken and they weren't going to replace it, we just went back to a Word document. And the really great part about the Word document is you can cut and paste and put it in there. So if you have to do an NIH BioSketch really fast, you can cut stuff off up and put it in the BioSketch, whereas the electronic document that nobody out there yet has created one that's that flexible and malleable. So this just is a little intro of what you should expect. Okay, so sorry. So we're back to, now we're going to go to the intranet site. So it's either that top row or down there on those quick links, and it takes you to the intranet site. Now, this is just part of it. What's below here that I did not take a picture of are accordion files by topic. They're also over here, like the resources and wellness or the career progression, where that big arrow is, or some of those topics are in the accordion files below, but you have to know to scroll down. Understanding the role of the department PTAC is a little video, I believe, and the guide to your LSOM CV. It's also over there under career progression, but it gives you your resources for that. Okay, so if you went to that faculty career progression, these are the types of things that you see. Awards and honors, CV resources, and then if you clicked on that, this is what you see to the right that begin here. It says that's that other page. This is what you do stepwise, step 1, step 2, step 3. We have your CV in any Word document, a annotated, templated CV. The annotations say, use this font, put this here, don't put this here, don't add that, your phone number, you know, and you can sign it right at the top here that says this is your CV, you've looked it over and you're proud of it. And a new blank template. So you look at the new template that's annotated and you go, oh, I'm putting that there. You go over and cut it out of your Word document and you plop it down into the blank template. So I've found that a lot of people didn't realize there were 3 opportunities there. Your old one, the new one, and you're supposed to have your updated CV as part of your annual evaluation, then on file in the chair's office every year. Okay, here are the major resources that are on that under those listings. This is my little disclaimer of I'm real proud of my site, but it's like awful because our information services only allows certain, like you can have 3 fonts, you can do that. I was like, this is boring. But anyway, we're gonna, by next year, should look better. But so that's why everything is in lists, because it's boring. Anyway, I try. So we have the annotated HOP PTAC guidelines for non-tenure track, tenure track, and tenure. So they got annotated by everybody who felt like contributing in the School of Medicine. And the landscape version, the horizontal version, it has this whole blank column for evidence. So this is what you use and your PTAC on your department level uses to write your letter. You plan with this. A lot of things I say, use them backwards. Use your CV backwards. Use this thing backwards, meaning you should look at it and say, this is my area of scholarship strength. I don't have anything in that evidence box. You don't have to have every possible thing, but most of them. Most of the guidelines or criteria, they're not criteria because you don't have to have every one of them, but so fill that out and help you write your goals. Why am I doing this? Which brings up something else I offer. Common attributes for successful tenure, my venues documents, we'll go over in a little bit, targeting publications and presentations, and a CV annotated template, and the faculty career guidance for mentoring. So just quickly, well, I have some commentaries on SMART goals. What are they? How to write them? There's a couple page articles. I have how could you evaluate your mentor, or how could you look for a mentor? Use it backwards. Say, what am I looking for? So these are some reasons why people would look for a mentor. You can use a mentor map and say, these are the areas where I need mentoring, and talk with your evaluator, your division chief, and say, what do you think about this? People probably need more than one area of mentoring or more than one mentor, but maybe not all at the same time, just all in good time, right? You might need somebody different if you have some personal life questions than your career, your professional life questions. I like this Nature article for mentors. It's short and sweet. It's for basic sciences, but it applies to everybody. It's really nice. And same thing with making the most of mentors. It's the role of the mentee. What's your responsibility in this? It's not just, I'll bring it on. Here I am, bring it on, and that's kind of what younger people are used to, because through now high school, college, med school, residency, you're a lot of times assigned, or they're all available, a lot more available. And here's your wellness activity. Here's this, here's that. Well, when you're faculty, suddenly you really need to say some self-determination here. What's some decisions I need to make? What are my areas? But these are tools to use them. I created what I call intentionality in your career path by whamming. As a pediatrician, I apparently have to make acronyms for everything. But anyway, whamming your career into place. So every time you're thinking about something, you should say, why and how aligned mentoring self, mentoring somebody else. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this now? Right? That kind of timeline. I don't have to do this now. I can do that. That's later. I can say no at the moment. And why do I think this is scholarly? Or how can I make it scholarly? How is it aligned with my scholarship strength? Yeah, maybe you need to get on committees. You don't need to get on any committee. You need to get on a committee that's aligned with your scholarship strength, so you can actually produce something, a policy, or work yourself up into leadership or something that is meaningful to you and the group, right? So how does this lead to an academic product, publication, or award? And how does this align with maybe future funding or value to the greater community out there, however you define that, my immediate division or people I'm in clinic with, or San Antonio or the region? So you're also asking, how do I clearly document this? So lots of whys and hows. And this I already went through as far as the CV. You look at your current one, you look at the annotated one, and you plop it down, and the annotations say, tell us how much, how often, quantity, frequency, just not paragraphs, but enough to say, why is this relevant? Like a lot of people put down an award, and it's important to know it was peer reviewed publication, or it was competitively awarded, you were one of 2 in the country. I mean, that's not evident, or who gave it, or why did they give it for scholarship excellence? I don't know. So for community work, to put that down, just a few words, not full sentences. And I have to ask, am I supposed to be done in 2 minutes, or?
Actually, you have 7.
7?
Unless you have 11.
No, okay. Oh, okay, this is ahead. All right, thank you. This is again how the annotations look. All that blue stuff are annotations to help you along. The blank one's over there. So your CV is importantly your best first impression. That's also when you're going out there in private practice or with some group. That is your first impression to those people. So make it your best first impression, and first impressions are lasting. So you may not want to be faculty, but you could take this, it's a basic CV, and say, oh, do I have anything in that area? So, and then when I say for promotion, don't worry. You get more than your CV now. I added this when the promotion tenure committee came under me. You can do a personal, professional, reflective narrative. It's required, but this is your chance to speak between the lines. It's not a regurgitation of your CV. It's a chance to say, I did this and that led me to this, and I got really curious about that, and so then I did this. Because sometimes if you look at the CV, what you're relying on this person who doesn't even know you or why what you do is important to try to put the pieces together. This is your opportunity in 3 pages or less to say, this is why this is all really relevant and important, and I'm a great person here at your institution. So, otherwise you have to make sure you get good letter writers and they understand your career. So your PTAC packet also needs to be strategized, intentional, and very clear in what you've documented, and other people who don't know you or what you do or your line of business. It could be a basic scientist. That's not adversarial. Again, they want you to succeed, but they have to understand what you're presenting to them. So I say you're either like a lawyer or a detective or something. You got this watertight case. You are proving this and it shouldn't be questionable. Or you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you've got the evidence right there collected and presented. So it's very clear. So the department chair, the PTAC in your department chair, or somebody on the PTAC writes a letter for you. And that is where they should fill out that landscape PTAC criteria or guidelines with evidence document and turn it in. Because if they don't do it, the PTAC is going to do it. But you'd really rather have it coming from you and your department who believes in you than them trying their best. They're trying their best, but if you frustrate them and they can't find anything, or it's very jumbled and confused, they're going to say, oh, obviously they don't care about themselves. And so why should I care about them? So it's not a good strategy to befuddle the PTAC committee who wants to be on your side. Okay, again, these are the guidelines with evidence. That's what they look like. All those blue things are annotations to explain what that word says. Some things like board certified, board eligible, that doesn't need much explanation, but other things do. Because they really relate more to the general academic campuses that predated the health science schools, and they didn't feel like changing them, so which is fine. These are what the common attributes look like, 1 page each. Actually, they're almost 2 pages, but on either side is one is for the basic science on the left and clinical on the right. This is targeting your and planning your work. I put this document together with one of our very big name researchers, because I don't know all the journals and all the H-index and all that values as well as he does. And this is like, what's the difference between a predatory journal or a predatory conference and one that really counts on your CV, right? When you're going to write something, you need to aim for as high as you can get and have a few contenders beneath that, but forget the predatory journals that you're just paying and anybody can get something published, whether it's well done or not. So that's what this is an effort to help you for. Now, this is my venues. I have 3 more slides, including this one. The purpose really is to be a resource, so in front of you visually, so it's paper at some point, maybe, I don't know. It can be electronic. The whole thing is electronic, but you're looking at it, and it's where to aim. Now, I can fill out the one for pediatrics because I'm very familiar with things in venues and pediatrics, but not so much in family community medicine. So I need your vice chair for research to fill out the one for research, the vice chair for education to fill out the one for education. If there's somebody with clinical ops or service, they want to do it, to fill that one out. But you yourself, again, once again, can start filling it out and then take it with you and say where, or take it electronically. Even though I'm doing paper, it can be electronic. And with to your mentor, whoever's going to evaluate you, and say, what should I aim for here? So every one of these, they're multi-page electronically. They're in a Excel. They're in a mechanism so that at first they were in Excel. So anyway, they're different now. Maybe they're Word. Because when you made one column bigger, all the other columns had to be bigger, which was ridiculous. So anyway, they're a way that you can look at purpose. The purpose for a resource list for why am I doing this, and where are my publications, presentations, projects, funding, policy, presentations, leadership, where is it going to be expressed, in which venue? So there's a separate one for each scholarship strength area, and it's scaled. All of them are scaled by campus local. What can I do campus local? Oh, my house staff QI project that I mentored, they can do it at the dean's annual research day or our departmental annual research day, right? You can document that on your CV. And you just think through, what can I do campus local, San Antonio, state, regional, national, international. They're scaled in that way. And then I have separate ones for events, conferences, honors, awards, committees, service, and then one for funding. And so this is a way that you can start exploring, where should I look for funding this? And what are big things that fund things in family and community medicine, right? So this is kind of all together so you can see that there's department, campus, local, state, regional, national, international, and then the same types of things under each one, but they're separate. So you're not filling out this gigantic deal, and you pick your scholarship strength. If you have activity in another area, fine. You don't have to concentrate on that. But on your scholarship strength area, you say, how can I express these things? And so every one of them starts with this, and this is the secret to success. Faculty career scholarship strength is demonstrated through documentable, tangible products and outcomes, right? A lot of them start with F. I really want to start funding with a PF. I mean with a P, not an F. So you must produce these tangible contributions, projects, presentations, posters, your speaker. So you're doing a presentation, you're monitoring some type of panel that counts, publications, policy, participatory citizen, not just you're on a committee, but what did you do on that committee? What did you produce on that committee of value? And working yourself up into leadership of the committee, of this clinic area, this teaching area, this research area. Mentorship. Everybody has to have some kind of mentorship to show you're helping your peers and your trainees. You don't have to mentor everybody, but you have to do it in some regard. And then peer review or competitive selection has higher value. So that's the secret right there. And you just figure out where in these venues that you can have documentable, tangible products and outcomes. And that's it. You're done. So I didn't leave. I left a -1 minute, but if anybody has questions.
Thank you for the- we did Candy, we're about to have our annual scholarship.
Yeah, good. Good. Honestly, it takes a lot of discipline. It's hard at first to write those goals, but it gets easier and easier. And then if you're looking at this kind of as a continuum of, this is my goal, how can I express it? And this is the hard part. the bigger the department, the harder it is. The division chief, the chair, they should all be thinking in this 3D chessboard kind of mechanism where you're saying, oh, this person has really done great. They've gotten promoted. They're ready to go on. They're the head of the clerkship. Why don't I get this person in here who's interested? They can be the co-lead. And then when this person is ready to move, they're moving into that position. They have something to document on their CV. They can have their way with it. They can invent some new things with the clerkship. You know, this person did great, but there's always something you can tweak or new rules you have to meet, and or data you want to collect or report, and or get involved with the clerkship directors. In pediatrics, we have an annual national group and an annual conference, and so you can be on those subcommittees. So you just get more and more in your area and things that are successful and you feel good about. You get your expertise, your identity solidified, and you feel real good about promotion. So hopefully I'm more than happy to come, Mark, or to anybody, talk about the venues more. They went out to everybody a couple years ago, several years ago, pre-COVID, and it was like dead silence. It's like, okay, that wasn't a good mechanism. So, so anyway, thank you.
So thank you. We've got to move on to the next thing. I
Yeah.
really appreciate you coming out. I've learned some
Absolutely.
things that will help me advise and help our faculty get promoted. I read your some of the stuff from your on the website about you as a faculty. You were never in the military, is that right?
No.
So if you were in the military and you were in a unit, they would give you a coin. So this is our family medicine coin.
Oh, my
So this is for you. It's a little less than a plaque, a little more than a handshake though. So we thought we'd give it to you as a token of our appreciation. This is the highly sought after, seldom presented, but always treasured Family and Community Medicine Challenge coin. So thank you very much.
How are you? Nice to see you. Yeah. Yeah.